Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a skill that sits at the absolute center of everything we do when we communicate in English. How to explain your ideas clearly. Because here is something every intermediate learner knows from personal experience. There is an enormous gap between having a great idea in your head and being able to express that idea in English in a way that another person can actually understand, follow, and be convinced by. You know exactly what you want to say. You can feel the idea clearly, but when you open your mouth it comes out scattered, incomplete, or so complicated that the other person nods politely but has no idea what you just said. That experience is frustrating. And it has nothing to do with how intelligent you are. It has everything to do with not having the right tools to translate what is in your head into clear spoken English. Today we fix that. Let us get into it. Part 1. The 4-step structure for explaining any idea. Here is the structure that works for explaining any idea in English regardless of the topic or how complex it is. For steps. Simple, reliable, and completely natural when you practice it. Step 1 is to state your main idea in one clear sentence. Just one. Before you explain anything, say the core idea in the simplest possible way. This gives the other person a frame. It tells their brain what to expect and what to do with everything that follows. Step 2 is to give the reason or the background. Why does this idea exist? What problem does it solve? What situation does it respond to? This is where you help the other person understand not just what the idea is but why it matters. Step 3 is to give a concrete example or a comparison. This is the most powerful step and the one most people skip. Abstract ideas become real the moment you attach them to something specific and familiar. An example, a story, an analogy. This is what makes the idea stick in someone's mind. Step 4 is to connect back to the main point and invite a response. After your example, bring the listener back to your core idea. And then open the door for their reaction. Ask a question. Make it a conversation. Let me show you the structure with a real example. The idea is that rest is actually productive, not a waste of time. Step 1. I genuinely believe that rest is one of the most productive things a person can do. Not a reward for finishing work. An actual part of the work itself. Step 2. When we rest, the brain does not stop working. Processes information, makes connections, and solves problems in the background. Most of our best ideas do not come when we are staring at a screen. They come on a walk, in the shower, just before we fall asleep. Step 3. I experienced this myself recently. I had been stuck on a problem at work for 2 days. Then I went for a walk, not thinking about it at all. And within 20 minutes the answer came to me completely. The walk did not distract me from the problem. Solved it. Step 4. So for me, rest is not the opposite of productivity. It is part of it. Have you ever noticed something similar in your own experience? Clear, complete, convincing, and natural. For steps. Every time. Part 2. The key phrases you need. Now let us build your explanation vocabulary. These are the phrases that guide your listener through your idea and signal where you are at each moment. To state your main idea. The way I see it. In simple terms, what I believe is, the main point I want to make is, if I had to explain this in one sentence I would say, to give your reason or background. And the reason I think this matters because, what led me to think about this was, to introduce your example or comparison. Let me give you a concrete example of what I mean. Think of it like this. It is a bit like when you, to put this in practical terms, imagine for a moment that, the best way I can describe it is, to connect back and close. So that is really the heart of what I am saying. Which brings me back to my main point. Does that make sense so far? I am curious what you think about that. Part 3. How to make abstract ideas concrete. This is the skill that separates people who explain things well from people who leave their audience confused. There are 3 tools for doing this in English. The first tool is the example. A specific real situation that shows the idea in action. The second tool is the analogy. A comparison between your idea and something the listener already knows. Here is one. Good listening is like a mirror. When someone speaks to a great listener, they see themselves reflected back clearly. They understand their own thoughts better because of how well the other person received them. A bad listener is a foggy mirror. You speak into it and you cannot recognize what comes back. The third tool is the contrast. Explaining what your idea is not as well as what it is. Most people think communication is about being articulate, about having the right words. But the most articulate speaker in the room is useless if nobody feels heard. The best communicators are not always the best speakers. They are almost always the best listeners. Use examples, analogies, and contrasts together, and your explanations will become clear every single time. Part 4. How to check your explanation landed. One of the most overlooked parts of explaining an idea is checking that the other person actually understood what you meant. Not just that they nodded, but that they genuinely received the idea the way you intended. Here are the natural ways to do this in English. Does that make sense so far? Am I explaining this clearly, or would it help if I approached it differently? Does that connect with your experience at all? I realize this might sound a bit abstract. Does the example help? What is your reaction to that? Is there any part you want me to go into more detail on? These phrases make explanation a two-way process. They show respect for the other person, and they give you valuable information about whether your explanation is working or whether you need to try a different approach. Never assume that silence means understanding. Your job as the explainer is to make asking for clarification feel completely welcome. Final part, a message for you. Explaining ideas clearly in English is not about having a perfect vocabulary or flawless grammar. It is about having a reliable structure and the right phrases to guide your listener through your thinking. State your idea. Give the reason. Use a concrete example. Connect back and invite a response. For steps, use them every time. Here is your challenge for today. Pick one idea you believe in strongly, anything at all, and explain it out loud in English using the 4-step structure. Record yourself. Listen back. Notice how much clearer you sound when your explanation has a shape. Thank you so much for watching. If this lesson helped you, please share it and subscribe. Leave a comment below and tell me one idea you believe in, explained in 2 or 3 sentences. I read every single comment and I would love to hear your thinking. See you in the next lesson.